I made an account for this. I've told around 50 people this in real life, and I'm finally going to make a post about it. Everything I'm saying, I put on my soul and on God that this really did happen. I'm not looking for attention, and I will not exaggerate in the slightest. With that being said, let's get into it. My first memory of anything really paranormal was me walking in the pitch black at 7 years old. Back then I was scared of the dark. I would never consciously do this, but going down the stairs at my mom's house, looking to the left and seeing a white spirit in front of the refrigerator, with the fridge being opened. That's all I remember. Nothing afterward. I, to this day, cannot remember if it was a dream or real. My second experience was when I was 13 at a continuation school with gang members and druggies. They make a fake Ouija board out of paper, and I play along. That night I woke up from a nightmare about a demonic goat and a pentagram. It's 3 a.m. and my TV is on that stereotypical static like in horror movies. The remote was on the bed, right in front of my face, aimed at me directly. I always turn the TV off, and I put my remote on the floor next to my bed routinely because I will stay up all night if I don't decide to go to sleep. I brush it off and went to bed a little scared, but that morning the paper we were playing with was ripped up and scattered on the lawn. This could have just been the kids playing a trick though. Third story. Because of the second story, I had my room set up like someone that had OCD, so I would know if anything moved in my room. I had my door popped up with the laundry basket. I did not have hinges on the door at the time. Everything was in its correct place and lights off with the door closed. I remember waking up to something trying to get my attention. Not verbally, but like telepathically. Like when someone is watching you and you can feel it. I opened my eyes. I'm pretty sure this was me still in the dream. But I saw all black face staring at me like someone peeking in my room. I only saw a face, no body. Not like it was floating, but like it was bent over, creeping in. I then became fully awake, and just like in the dream, my door was open, but I did not see the face in it. I look around, and the hallway light is on, just like in my dream, but there was no face. My light and ceiling fan are on, and my fucking office chair that is always perfectly parked in front of my desk was rolled all the way to my bed, to where it was touching my bed. I'm frozen in fear, waiting for something to pop out, or for me to hear something, or for me to hopefully still be dreaming, but it was real. And I was losing my mind in fear. This all happened at 6 a.m. this time. 2 minutes go by and I hear my mom go to the bathroom, and I muster enough courage to get up and go to her. I asked her if she was at my door trying to get my attention, and she said, "No, I just woke up." My heart dropped like a fucking anchor. I have no history of sleepwalking, just for your information. I tell her what happened and she is shook too. She had her own experiences. I told her not to tell me because I was too afraid to want to hear about it. I will get to that soon. I end up going back to my room when I walk past my 3-year-old little brother's room. At least 3 of his toys start going off. I cannot make this up. Then nothing happened. I just went to school real confused and scared, just trying to explain what the fuck I encountered. Nothing really happened since the third story, when I was 16, but it doesn't end there. Like I said, I told my mom's sister to never tell me what happens. Fast forward to a few months ago when I was 25. I finally asked my mom what she has seen. So let's get into my mom, sister's encounters. First thing my mom tells me is there are 4 ghosts in the house. And of course the first one she says is a white ghost. That is not evil. that's in the kitchen. I've never told my mom about the dream of me seeing a white ghost in the kitchen. Then she says there is a baby in my little brother's room, the toys going off by themselves, another toddler in the hallway, which my mom and sister claim to have seen. They said he was in a striped shirt. Then she says there is a tall, big, very evil entity in my room. She then says she has seen the big evil one spying on her out of the corner of her eye, and that my sister saw it downstairs on the couch, and the big evil one was on the staircase peeking around the corner. My sister said she felt a hand touch her back when she was laying on the couch downstairs when she was younger. She also said she one time went to the bathroom at 3 a.m. and seen a big shadow guy in the chair staring her down or like focused on her in the dark. This is where it gets real crazy. My little bro told my mom about a nightmare. He had had someone sitting in my chair. Like I said, I have no reason to lie about this shit. It is crazy. Luckily, nothing has really happened besides hearing something thrown at the wall when I was home alone once before the chair incident. I will never forget this very first time I experienced something paranormal. Ever since this moment as a child, I've had paranormal things happen around me. I was either 8 or 9 years old. My mom went shopping with my 2 younger sisters, and my dad was outside weed whacking, clear halfway across a property down by the stream. There's about 5 acres of land, so about halfway in between that in the middle. I was the only one inside at the time. I had just decided to go play with my stuffed animals, so I turned off the TV, made sure the lights were out, and that I didn't leave anything on at all. My parents always got on to us about leaving anything on when we left a room, if we weren't coming back. I was about to walk out of the living room when I felt really weird, and then all of a sudden I heard a really deep man's voice say my name, and it sounded like it was right beside me, inches from my face, inches from my right ear. I got so freaked out, I put my shoes on and flew out the patio door. Right after that, I still saw that my dad was weed whacking near the same place he was when I looked out the window prior on turning everything off. When I told my mom, she didn't believe me, but I know what I heard. Still to this day, I'll never forget that voice. When I was about 11 years old, I used to live in a duplex just outside a small town. I remember the house always sort of being unnerving, in fact. I remember sometimes sleeping in my mom's room because of how uncomfortable I felt in mine. One instance I remember was when I wake at night watching Disney Channel, which I would do till I fell asleep. When I started to slowly get tired, eventually to the point where my eyes started slowly to get heavy as my eyes were closing, a shadow darts in front of me. Startled, I began to lift my head up and get out of bed. I start to look down the hallway that leads to the main entrance of the duplex and thought it was one of my cousins messing with me. I was just dreaming. A month goes by with no activity until one Saturday morning. Me and my cousin are watching cartoons in the living room together, when out of nowhere we hear a loud scream coming from the same hallway that leads to the front door. Me thinking it was my grandma that fell down the stairs, I quickly sprint to my mom's room to tell her that grandma was hurt. She then immediately jumps out of bed and runs to the front door, only to find no one there. Turns out my grandma was in my aunt's room sleeping, which she often did because my aunt would leave early in the morning to go to work until she heard us screaming, wondering what the hell just happened. After that, my mom ended up grounding me, thinking I was lying, which as a kid I did a lot, so I wasn't surprised she didn't believe me, nor did I try to explain myself, because she was never going to believe me. After that, I remember we ended up moving out of the house due to a rat infestation, so that's kinda where the story ends. To this day, I can't really explain those moments. So a while ago I posted a story about my grandfather, which prompted me to look for any instances I might have experienced from the other side. I asked my mom about it and she said she could recall one event quite vividly. It's not particularly scary, nor did it happen often, and it could be explained without involving the paranormal. This happened when I was around 3, so myself do not remember it. My mom had just picked me up from kindergarten and left me in the room while she went to the kitchen to unload my bag and whatnot. She then came into the room maybe 10 to 20 minutes later and I said, "Bye, see you again," as I waved towards the window. Obviously, my mom's first thought was that I either saw a little bird outside or I simply had an imaginary friend. So she asked who I was talking to, which I replied, "My friend, Antonio." My mom doesn't remember the exact name, but says it was relatively a common name. Then she said I would stand there staring outside for maybe 5 seconds before nonchalantly saying his dad beat him to death. She was very spooked by the comment, especially coming from a 3-year-old, so she asked me to describe what he was wearing according to her. I described a boy dressed in the typical 1900s clothes. We lived in a house from around that time. She asked me if he was dirty, implying he was covered in blood, and I said no. Apparently, she heard me talk to a boy a few more times, but as the months went by, it happened less and less. She asked around her friends, even our pediatrician, and they said kids say disturbing, frequent things. She said she never did further research on the house, as she didn't want to ask questions. She just didn't want to find out the answer. So what do you guys think? Is it a ghost or just kids being creepy? About a month ago, me and my brother went to explore a small abandoned, but almost like a house, but rather small. In the woods behind our house, we had lights that were fully charged, waters, and some chip bags just in case. On the way, we thought we saw someone walk into the hut but brushed it off. During our time there, we heard footsteps, piles of wood were kicked over, and our lights that were fully charged ran out of battery. A week after the exploration, strange things started to happen around the house. Our phones, empty bottles, forcefully shoved off a table. Today, however, things went from bad to worse. I hear people talking about my brother sees people in the corner of his eye and how my dog freaks out whenever we go near the dog of the woods. I'm freaking out.